I'll show y'all. I guess this is really my first play toy. It wasn't my first Volkswagen, but it's the first one I got to kind of just get running and go have fun in. And that's an old parts car on the chassis. I know what's in here. A couple of front fenders, headlight bucket. I don't know what that fuzzy thing is, looks scary. Anyway, this is the 71 standard Beetle. We called it Marvin the Mud Bug. I'll have to dig up some old pictures of it for y'all. You can't see in there, but I got a set of brand new Sprint bars. I'll have to come back and get out when I have appropriate wall spray. Ugh. There went one. Yep, she was a lot of fun. This is Marvin's chassis. It's an RS chassis, which means it's not swing axle like our little 66 we just bought. It has a little different rear suspension. Both of these cars are ball joint front end. And ultimately, I'll probably, both of them needs a set of pans, so I'll probably rebuild this one and use it for a Baja that we just got. One of the best things on this chassis is these lift spindles. This name brand's out of business. It has a 3-inch lift spindles on it. You can see it's a stock tire. And probably somewhere around 14 to 16 inches of ground clearance. Anyway, that's all I got out here. I came in and dug around my parts stash and got a few things I needed. Excuse me. That time of the year where the sinuses are kicking like Jackie Chan. This is where I grew up at, kind of my stomping grounds. I did not purposely put my truck in the way. Yeah. See, it's just property everywhere. Anywho, got my manual B breaker, excuse me, my dad's manual B breaker. We're just gonna borrow it for a little while. A couple of random parts. I'll have to look because I know I forgot already. Oh yeah, the single port 10s, or cylinder 10, cylinder shroud, whatever you want to call them. I found one of the air deflectors. I couldn't find any dog sleds, 10, or anything like that. One of our tail lights is busted out on the other car, and we need the ring. I don't remember if we have the orange and red or what was on that car already, so I have to go home and look. I found one of those. There's a little bead breaker and all my work junk. I'm gonna close up and I'll see you back in the house. We're back home. Let the air out of that tire. We have some 235 75 15s we're going to replace these 215 60 15s with. Give it a little bit more height, and those are pretty wide. Anyway, I'm gonna get to working on that. I'll show you what it looks like after. Got one on there, She's looking good. There she is, folks. And Mr. Bundy basking in the shade. Now, we'll move to the back. Let's see, we'll pull the engine off. What's your problem, Weeby? What's wrong? Who drove that dirty coffee cup over here? Anyway, we're gonna pull the engine, then do things like replace the swing axle boots, and like I said, all the brake drums and backing plates for everything were pulled off. So we're gonna get it back to where it has brakes and good axle seals. Then we'll move on to the engine, and then that shift bushing, and then the ignition switch that burned up the other day. So I'm gonna pull this engine, get us all up on jack stands, and I'll be back. Still working on the back. I was gonna show y'all real quick. I know if you've not done it a lot, it's kind of confusing. But your order of how you put everything on for these swing axle seals. You have your large O-ring. You have your smaller washer. That's sort of oval-shaped O-ring. And the, I guess a bevel I'll call it, goes towards that O-ring. And it'll push up like that. Of course, the seal goes in the housing. I'll let you see it. And this goes in the housing also, or the bearing cap, like that. Then of course your backing plate goes on here. You'll have one of these paper gaskets that goes up against your backing plate, in between the backing plate and the bearing cap. And that's all there is to it. Alright, I'm getting ready to slap that back together. I'll show you. I'll go ahead and put this spacer in the seal because of this. Focus. Alright. See how the little metal spring ring thingy pops off? If you're putting it on blind, a lot of times that happens. And then your seals don't do the sealing thing. And you're like, man, new seal I bought wasn't no good. Wasn't the problem, it's just kind of what happens. And it can be a struggle to get it in there. But put your spacer in first. That way you can check, make sure that little springy deal is down in there. There you go. Now, but just like I told y'all, got your bearing cap, your spacer, your seal. I'm sorry, I know it's sunny and it's hard to see, and your washer, your bigger washer. Alright. Walk over here to the car. A little more cleaning up to do. But get ready for assembly. That's the order of things. Got your backing plate. Remember, your big O-ring goes there. Next, you put on a paper gasket with that drainage hole down. You have a hole in your backing plate and on your bearing cap. That hole, if oil gets past that rubber seal, it goes across the face of it and down in that hole and leaks out of the backing plate so you can see it. And that's the order of business right there. Alright, there it is, all smashed together. So I got backing plate, and I don't put anything in between the backing plate and that. There's another gasket. You can do that if you want to. I don't think you're supposed to, so I don't. Anyway, you have backing plate, the paper gasket, now our bearing retainer, and that's the washer I was telling you, the bigger washer, and everything else is inside of there. So this is like a actual on-car exploded view turned into a assembled view. Anyway, hope that helps somebody. Alright, also something I do a little bit differently. My big head locking up on the light. I put my brake shoes together before I even put them on the car. We'll see how that goes. You have your little pin that goes through your brake shoe, and then that whatever kind of keeper lock you want to call that. That's your rod for your emergency brake. When you pull your cable, it pulls on that lever right there and spreads your shoes out. And that's your 2 springs. Can't do it one-handed. Oh. Anyway, you can see that's how they go. When I put it on, I'll just spread the shoes out. I put the bottom in first, then I pick it up and I spread the shoes out and I just put them in the wheel cylinder. Well, I've started all the fun, pulling the glass out, and well, I don't know how they got in there, but there's rat feces all in the headliner and the roof of the car. Pretty disgusting. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. I have 1/4 and the back glass out. Have this quarter window. If I can zoom out any. Show y'all kind of how you can see these. They're dry rotted and they're just letting water leak inside the little frames here. What I do if I'm not going to reuse the seal, start cutting them out with a box blade like that. Then they get you open to where the seal comes together. If you cut in there, you can cut it apart. There's the whole top side and the outside part was cut off. Just reach down in there, you see pretty much like a rubber wall and cut into it. And that cuts it off where you can see the edge of your glass. What I'll do is I'll do that from here to about here, then pull the window out. Alright, it is cut to expose most of the edge. You just push on it from the back side. Can't reach. It's got glue on it for some reason. Or maybe in that window tint. Yeah, it looks like it's just a window tint. Anyway, pull it out. You can get in these areas and find any issues from water leakage. It's also where your headliner folds up into. Ugh. Rather disgusting. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, there's a bunch of rust that was forming from the seals being cracked. Anyway, I'm gonna keep cleaning up on this thing. I'm trying to get all the old tar off back there. Pull all the rest of the interior out like that, and I want to prep this area and do like an incomplete headliner. I don't want the, usually vinyl covers all those areas here, across there. I'm gonna leave those exposed and just go a straight line from the quarter window to the rear glass. That'll be all that I do. I'll have the metal exposed and it'll be painted orange color. And I'll stick with the black interior to keep the two-tone little theme going. Alright. That's what we look like under the paint. Yep. That's what happens when you got them old crackly seals on your car. Now those are drain holes, they're supposed to be there. That's the amount of cleanup that it took to get down to something decent. And keep him working on it. Trying to get up in that little underside of the rain groove. Get all that cleaned out to the where the line's going to be. It'll pretty much be the same across there. But I'm going to two-tone it like that. But a lot of fun sanding. Alright, been cleaning up on it. All those areas are rusty. I'd say it took a lot of sanding. Now, I'm going to start taking paint off the car. And I'm going to show y'all the easy way. This car has multiple layers of paint on it. This orange right here is some type of house paint. Maybe it's exterior house paint, I don't know. I don't want my paint on top of all that. Taking a little scraper. Get you a spot started. Blam. Do it softly. Get down to the last layer of paint. And every time you push, you're going to pull another layer of something up. There's another real soft one. Got that orange paint off. And you got the blue paint. And that's whatever kind of primer they use under that blue paint. That's what I'm going to. You will have some mishaps like that where you get bare metal out. But what I'll do there is get like a self-etching primer and spray can and take it over those spots and then sand it off of the other primers and then probably do an epoxy primer because that's how I do it. All real con it is it makes a mess. But it sure is easy. It probably would have taken me 2 or 3 hours to sand down through that original primer. spot has Bondo on it. That's pretty quick down to the last layer of primer that was put on the car. Sorry about my fingers sticking out. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going with that until I have it pretty much the whole area smooth. What you could do then is take like a 180 or 240 grit to it, just over that, and do your direct to metal self-etching primer over your bare spots. Sand it in so you don't have that over the old primer. And then when you start block sanding, you'll be on top of a good smooth substrate. Alright, this is where I'm at. Been uncovering stuff, cleaning it up. That far side I've started block sanding. It's ready for another coat of primer. And we're not going crazy with it. That's just old headliner glue up there. Something I'm having to deal with on this one is that little tiny chunk of it left. Usually have a piece that comes over and holds your carpet to your heater channel there. I think any other car you call it just a door seal, and it is just rotted off. What I'm doing, just a little bitty screwdriver, put it in. There I am. Put it down in there, hammer it apart. I'll come back later. See, these cars are put together with spot welds, like most any car. Come together and grind all your spot welds off. That's what we're doing. The electrical is a little bit I don't even know what you call it, just rigged up. So I'm piecing all the parts I think I need to get the electrical system back factory style so it can be troubleshot. You know, when you're trying to troubleshoot something and it's been rigged up and wired around and jumpered and all that good stuff, it just makes it harder to figure out. So what I'll do is take it back to a factory style flasher relay. You know, 66 was the introduction of the four-way flasher relay with emergency or hazard flashers, and it also has, you know, a standard relay built into the box for your turn signals. And they had, you know, just screwed this one around to where the focusing ain't very good. There you go. Not only where the headlight switch would dim and give a bright function depending on how far you pulled. You know, you're supposed to have a little button on the lever over here, and that probably got broke off, and is why they did that. Also, part of your 12 volt conversion requires an upgrade on that box that I'm talking about. I'm going to go around to it. I'll play with the zoom and get y'all some light. Your little box there is what's supposed to control all your hazard and turn signals. So that has to be converted to 12 volt, and they're not really that expensive, even on today's market. They're about $70 to $80. Also, it's your headlight dimmer relay, and I don't see any 12 volt stamping or indications on it. So that's something that would normally be upgraded to 12 volt. So either the lever broke off the turn signal switch and they bypassed it because of that, or it was because of 12 volt conversion. They bypassed this box and they had just one of them round universal turn signal flasher relays in there with no hazard light function. Which I don't know how hard it is to get one of these inspected. You know, on our modern vehicles, you have to have your hazard lights working, or should have. But otherwise, I'm going to keep working on the interior, getting it sanded. Like I've said earlier in this video, got to clean up, get all those crackly, just weather rotted window sills out to slow this down. I have to get in here and treat that, but that's my point here. Get the interior cleaned up, get fresh paint, get rid of any rust that's going on, like these areas, and just figure out what kind of bones this car has. And in the meanwhile, that's what I'll be working on. We're going to do a headliner, sun visor replacement. I'm going to do a custom, I suppose, headliner install. I've got to, pretty much I have to, if I want to cover up the, I'm going to call them pinchers. I don't know what you're supposed to call them, but you have a piece that goes down in there and it goes all the way to your heater channel door seal area. So I'm going to have the material all the way up and down to that, but I'm wanting to defecate it there. Let the door panel be black, or the quarter panel in there, the interior quarter panel, be black still. But I want some of that orange paint showing. So I'm thinking, using one of these for a pointer stick, it's our headliner bows. I'm thinking leave it exposed here for paint color exposure, and try to take our headliner from there to there somehow. I am replacing the padding, so I'm thinking maybe I'll tuck it up behind the padding so it don't look too junky. But normally your headliner and your Beetle would stretch all the way to here, and you'd have headliner that sort of perforated vinyl look, just material everywhere back here. I'm not a fan of that. I would like some of the paint to show, especially back here. Give it bright colors. It's a Baja. We're just going to have fun with it. Other than that, I'm going to keep working on this, and I'm going to wrap up this video and go ahead and post it because it's been so long. I'll be back when we have more.